Thank you for joining me for this week's Motherhood Moment. Today I want to talk more about people pleasing. Last week when I put up the devotional on people pleasing, Valerie Reese let me know that she had a friend who struggles with this, and I'm sure a lot of us do. And so I thought I'd go a little further into talking about people pleasing and what we can do if we struggle with this. And people pleasing basically is just where we try to live to serve others, but not in a healthy way. We're just constantly trying to make everybody around us happy. And while that can be a really good and loving thing to do, when it comes from a place that's not healthy, it can be really dysfunctional. So let's talk about the trap of people pleasing and why we even do this. So one thing, we can people please just because it was the habit in our family. If we had a don't rock the boat family that always tried to keep things calm and smooth, we can pick up that habit, and then as we grow up, we bring that into our adult life as well. And then we can carry that on with our children, and they kind of pick up either becoming the ones that we people please, or they become people pleasers like us. The other thing is we could be doing this because it's part of our personality. Like some personalities are just more easygoing and like to keep the peace more than others, and so maybe you're that type of person that is more of a peacemaker by nature, a peacekeeper by nature. And then the third reason is really one of the most common reasons, and it's that we have fear. And that fear can be that we're afraid of being rejected. And so when we've, in the past, maybe we've expressed our feelings or thoughts or something that was an opinion, and it didn't go over so well. We actually experienced some rejection or some pain. A situation didn't go our way when we did that. And over time, we learned that it's easier not to express those opinions, thoughts, and feelings because we're trying to make everybody around us happy. But it's not really for their happiness. It's really to keep ourselves safe. So it's a self-defense mechanism when we use it that way. And it can be such a trap because if you think about it, here's one person and they want this. Let's say they want to go to the movies and this person wants to stay home, and here you are, the people pleaser, torn between these two people. If I go to the movies, I'm going to make this one upset, and if I stay home, I'm going to make this one upset. And so we end up in these tug of war situations where we're feel pulled because we don't really have our own sense of self or our security enough to say no or to say what our opinion is. So what is it that we can do when we find ourselves in people pleasing? That's what I want to talk about. How can we get through this? And obviously in a 5-minute motherhood moment, I'm not going to be able to teach you all there is to know about people pleasing, but I can give you some keys that will get you started on a healing journey. And that's my goal, is to help you overcome this habit. So the first one is, if it's something you grew up with in your family and it's a pattern that you're used to, just recognize the pattern, be aware, wow, I actually did that because I was afraid that I was going to hurt somebody's feelings and I didn't want to upset them, or, just notice yourself and notice the patterns that you're walking in, and then make a conscious decision that you don't want to live in those patterns anymore. And that's a big first step, to just realize you want to make a change and that you're living in a certain pattern that isn't healthy. And then the next thing you want to do is that if it's something that's more in your nature, that it's your temperament or some way that you've lived on a regular basis to the point where it's become just how you are and who you are, you can apply Psalm 139 to that. And in that song, God has a prayer he gives us, which is, search me, oh my God, test every thought within me, show me if there is any anxious or hurtful way. And while we don't think of people pleasing necessarily as hurtful, it actually is hurtful because we're not being honest with ourselves and others, and it can cause damage in relationships because there's not a lot of authenticity when we're people pleasing. So keep asking God to show you your people pleasing heart and to help you along out of it, and he will. And the third thing we can do, and this is the most poignant because it actually is the deepest root that most of us function from in people pleasing, is fear, is that to remember that perfect love casts out fear. And so when we're looking to heal from people pleasing, we need to think about God's love and the reality of that love, the love that he has for us. And the Bible tells us to be rooted and grounded in that love. And with that, when you really picture like a plant digging its roots down into the soil and getting everything it needs from that soil, the soil that we dig our roots into needs to be God's love. And so the more and more we are aware and reminding ourselves that God loves us, abiding in that love, letting that love come into our hearts, letting it be enough to fill us, and really believing in that love, the less we're going to need people around us to approve of us, or we don't need to please them for the wrong reasons. So that being rooted and grounded in love is really the deepest healing that can happen. And there's lots of things we can do to cultivate that for ourselves, but I think just being aware of it and really focusing on it in your life is such a great thing. So I wanted to ask this question and kind of discern something, because some people might say, well, aren't we supposed to be peacemakers? Didn't Jesus say, blessed are the peacemakers? And it's true that we do want to be peacemakers, but peacemakers are different than peacekeepers. So a peacemaker in the Bible is somebody who, where they love peace and they cultivate peace within other relationships. But what they do is they're functioning from a place of tranquility in their own heart, where they're at peace and that they know they're secure. So there's a sense of security when we're a peacemaker, whereas when we're a peacekeeper, we're very insecure. We're trying to make other people like us because we don't have that inner security. So you can see the difference between being a peacemaker and a peacekeeper. And being a peacemaker is blessed. We're called a child of God when we're a peacemaker. But when we're a peacekeeper, we're just functioning on our own strength rather than relying on God to defend us, protect us, and love us. So I hope this was a helpful thing to think about today, and I hope that if you have any comments or questions, you'll leave them below. I would love to get in a conversation here about peacemaking and peacekeeping and people pleasing, and I would love to be a part of your journey of healing. Thank you for joining me for the Motherhood Moment.
Like my mom's videos?
Then subscribe below.